This one is he's a Navy guy, Joseph Timothy O'Callaghan, and I'll get to what he did in a little bit more depth for a moment, but you've heard me complain several times on this show that our elites in this country, they don't actually go fight anymore with the risk of dying. Oh, I know, they'll do 25 minutes in the National Guard scrambling eggs, and then they'll run campaign ads of them in uniform acting like they're Rambo. But it was not usually this way in the past. In the past, you were expected to, at some level, have served your country. And God forbid a war broke out, you served. And in fact, all throughout history, elites in society, in the good ones, marched off to war with their troops. If the Romans lost a battle, senators, plural, died. A third of the Roman Senate got wiped out by Hannibal in one battle. A third. You know why? Because they were there with swords and shields in their hands. In America, it's not this way anymore. But I'm gonna read you a couple things about Joseph Timothy O'Callaghan before I move on and talk about his citation. I want you to listen to this person's resume. This is not a person who had to find himself under fire. This is a person who had every excuse and could have gotten every exemption. Listen to his schooling. Received a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1926. He next attended Western Massachusetts Philosophical School and then Jesuit Seminary, both in Western Massachusetts, and received degrees of Master of Arts in 1929 and a Bachelor of Sacred Theology in 1935. He studied further at St. Robert's Seminary in Connecticut, Georgetown University, and specializing in mathematics and physics. He was a professor of mathematics, philosophy, and physics at Boston College, and then for a year was a professor of philosophy at the Jesuit Seminary. Okay, I'm not even going to continue on. This is a human being with more degrees than Houston in July. Oh, do you want to hear about some awards? He was a member of many leading scientific societies, among them the American Physical Society, American Mathematical Society, and Mathematical Association, the American Statistical Society, Association of Mathematical Statistics, Association of Jesuit Scientists, and the Jesuit Philosophical Association, and he wrote a book. And yet, all those credentials, all those degrees, and Joseph Timothy O'Callaghan did not consider himself too important to go off to war. He found himself on the famous USS Franklin under a kamikaze attack that I wouldn't wish on anybody. So without further ado, let's find out what he did.
Ready, aim.
Honoring those who went above and beyond. It's Medal of Honor Monday.
Born in Boston, Massachusetts, by the way. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving as chaplain on board the USS Franklin when that vessel was fiercely attacked by enemy Japanese aircraft during offensive operations near Kobe, Japan on the 19th of March, 1945. And yes, in case you're wondering, this is a kamikaze attack, a terrible, terrible kamikaze attack. A valiant and forceful leader, calmly braving the perilous barriers of flame and twisted metal to aid his men and his ship, Lieutenant Commander O'Callaghan groped his way through smoke-filled corridors to the open flight deck and into the midst of violently exploding bombs, shells, rockets, and other armament. With the ship rocked by incessant explosions, with debris and fragments raining down and fires raging in ever-increasing fury, he ministered to the wounded and dying, we'll get to more of that in a second, comforting and encouraging men of all faiths. He organized and led firefighting crews into the blazing inferno on the deck. He directed the jettisoning of live ammunition and the flooding of the magazine. He manned a hose to cool hot armed bombs rolling dangerously on the listing deck, continuing his efforts despite searing, suffocating smoke which forced men back, gasping and imperiled others who replaced them. Serving with courage, fortitude, and deep spiritual strength, Lieutenant Commander O'Callaghan inspired the gallant officers and men of the Franklin to fight heroically and with profound faith in the face of almost certain death, and to return their stricken ship to port. Couple things. First of all, World War II was amazing for a lot of reasons, but here's a little amazing tidbit of it. There's so much video. This was the area where we had video. When Jewish producer Chris set the citation in front of my desk today, I remembered immediately I have actually watched Joseph Timothy O'Callaghan administering last rites to a dying sailor on the USS Franklin that day. There's video of it. You are going to have to go seek that out and look it up. I'm sure it's probably on YouTube or something somewhere. I apologize deeply. I watched so many documentaries. I did not write down which one I saw this in, but I'm sure it's in more than one. You can go look at this man kneeling over a man dying, about to breathe his last, administering last rites. You can watch him do it. But it's beyond that. Imagine your ship on fire. It's hell on earth. There's fire everywhere. And all the explosive stuff on the ship is blowing up because of the fire. You start grabbing hot bombs and chucking them off the side of the ship. Imagine carrying a bomb that might explode any moment. It said he flooded the magazine. Oh, don't think for a moment that meant he pulled a lever. He manned the hose and took it down. Remember, the magazine is where all the, I'll just call it black powder. A bunch of explosive stuff is going, and if it blows up, everyone's going to die. He takes a hose down there and hoses the thing down so none of it will blow up. And this guy's a freaking chaplain. He is a chaplain. He doesn't have a responsibility to do any of this stuff. He's hosing down the magazine. He's carrying bombs. And when he's not doing that, he's trying to bring people to Jesus before they breathe their last breath on the USS Franklin, which suffered the worst kamikaze attack probably in all of World War II. That's bravery. And humility. Man, if I had ever earned a Medal of Honor, which of course I could never have done, I don't have that stuff in me, I'd wear it everywhere. What, Chris? I'd wear it to the gas station. I would have that thing on at all times, just doing nothing but bragging about myself. That's what I would do. This guy, he said his was exaggerated. How about that? All the men talked about what he did, but for him, they asked him about it. Oh, they blew that out of proportion. And he even said, this is not a direct quote, but it's pretty close. He said, oh, any priest would have done what I did. No, sir. That's not true at all. Lived until, I believe it was 1964. He passed of a terrible illness. We don't have to get into the ugliness of it. So how about that? Not bad, huh? Let's do some emails. We haven't done any of those. Remember, you can email the show, Jesse@jessekellyshow.com. All right?